Just 8 hours to go till the federal budget is handed down and an hour and a half to go till Brisbane venues plans will be announced. Joining me live is Liberal member for Fisher, Andrew Wallace. Hi there, Andrew. Great to have you on the show. We just heard there about cost of living increases under Labor. Is it fair to put all the 10 grand a year on Labor management? How would the coalition have managed the economy?
Well, as I make my way around the electorate and the country, cost of living is the number one issue, Lay, and those figures were, replicating what people are talking to me about. Electricity has gone up by 32%, gas by 34%. People are now paying $50,000 more in their mortgage repayments than what they were under us over this term of government, and that's after tax. So Australians are hurting, and they are hurting badly, whether it's power prices or whether it's groceries and fuel, cost of private health insurance. The cost of living in this country has gone up. Now, Anthony Albanese and Jim Chalmers have tried to blame everybody but themselves. They've blamed Vladimir Putin. They've blamed the war in Ukraine. They've blamed President Trump. The reality is this government has got no idea. Anthony Albanese and Jim Chalmers are wildly out of their depth, and Australians are paying the price. Australians deserve better than what they have had under Anthony Albanese over the last 3 years, and in the coming weeks, they'll get an opportunity to have their say. Only a Dutton
So what would the coalition do differently?
Only a Dutton government will get will be able to get prices down, because it will be able to put downward pressure on inflation. We will stop the reckless spending.
The coalition will be
every dollar
announcing
every dollar that this government spends is either borrowed or it's raised from taxes laid. That's what people need to understand. And this government just keeps on.
Is that unusual for governments?
And that drives inflation, and that means people's interest payments, they stay higher for longer.
So what would the coalition do differently come Thursday? What's your response? Because so far we've seen a lot of matching.
Peter Dutton will have an opportunity to lay out the coalition's plan for how we will deal with cost of living, how we will deal with more affordable and reliable and dispatchable energy. One of the greatest reasons why Australians are paying through the nose for everything is because of Chris Bowen's crazy, reckless 100% renewables program that he's set this country on a path to. A coalition government will, under Peter Dutton, will have dispatchable, reliable nuclear energy to firm up renewables, gas, and that will have a significant impact on cost of living, because people's cost of living is very much affected by power prices, whether it's in their own home.
And how's that going to be
whether
funded?
It's by the transport company, whether that's by the transport companies, whether that's by the supermarkets or the farmers. Chris Bowen's energy policies continue to hurt Australians. And look, as far
Andrew,
as
we heard from the Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor calling Jim Chalmers' budget one for 5 weeks, not for 5 years. How would the coalition invest for the long term, especially to raise productivity?
Well, that's a really good, really interesting point, Lay, and I watched with great interest some of those interviews that were being undertaken by people on the street in Frankston just a few moments ago. And Australians are starting to wake up to this Labor government. They realise, because of the pain that they've been enduring under a Labor Andrews government, that your governments just can't keep continuing to borrow. We need to return to that old-fashioned fiscal responsibility, that Australians know that the Liberal National parties stand for, and that on each occasion, after each Labor government, the Liberal National parties have to come in and mop up the reckless economic wasteful spending that Labor has conducted.
So take away cost of living relief?
Sorry.
Okay, let's switch topics and talk. Okay, let's switch topics and talk about the Brisbane Olympics. In your electorate, which is in the hinterland, what are people saying about the spending on the venues?
Well, I think people on the Sunshine Coast, which is now officially the #1 spot for people within Australia who want to move to, and we're really experiencing those infrastructure pressures right now on the Sunshine Coast. So what people are on the Sunshine Coast are telling me is that we need to be investing more money in infrastructure. Now, over the last 3 years, we've seen cuts to infrastructure that we had planned for, that we had budgeted for. This Labor government under Catherine King cut $160 million for the Mooloolah River interchange, which cut that project altogether. We saw hundreds of people moved out of their homes for that project, and now there's vacant land as a result. But people on the Sunshine Coast are looking for infrastructure, legacy infrastructure, as a result of this Olympics. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us in South East Queensland to build that infrastructure that we need. And clearly, this federal government is not up to the task because they are cutting projects in my electorate and throughout South East Queensland, where we have provided funding in the past and we will do so in the future.
And what do you make of the planning challenges we've seen on the Olympics so far?
Well, of course, look, one of the biggest challenges that the criticises government has had is that they are starting behind the 8 ball. There's 1,343 days have gone by since the announcement of the Olympics and to today, and not a shovel, not one shovel has been put in the ground. I congratulate David Criticises to have conducted a detailed 100-day review. That announcement is going to be made today as to what's going to be done where, and I think all Queenslanders, in fact all Australians, are waiting with bated breath to learn that David Criticises, with his LNP state government, will actually get things done, and that day starts today.
Authorised by Andrew Wallace, LNP, Boccarina, Queensland.